This is Twilight Sparkle Goes to Bed by Agent Bookfort. Bed. The thought hung in Twilight's head, refusing to rid itself to make room for more important matters, such as her recent study of the ceremonial rituals of griffins during the month of August. No, this time, the thought of her bed beckoned her, enticed her with the warm comfort of soft mattress and sheets wrapping around her like a cocoon. Tonight was special. Tonight, Twilight wouldn't just be sleeping in her usual bed sheets and feather-fluffed pillow. No, tonight, she would be welcomed to the warmth and comfort of a freshly dry, cleaned bed linen. The smell and sensation of freshness would entice her to sleep of wonderful and unimaginable comfort. Twilight tried to ignore the incessant beckoning of the bed's thought, though bring forth. It sang to her like a siren's call. It wanted her. Its only desire was to embrace her. It sat there upon the pedestal of the second floor and waited, watching her movement with pleading puppy dog eyes. There was one solution to this problem, and it was to go there. Twilight Sparkle stood up and stretched her legs, looking over the cluttered desk. This evening's study session had been particularly intense, and it showed. Books lay strewn across the immediate area, accompanied by various scrolls and scraps of paper. She sighed deeply. With Spike out of town for the next few days, it was up to her to make sure the library stayed clean and organized. Bed will need to wait until she had finished cleaning. With each book she placed on a shelf, each scroll she rightened, she knew her inherent desire to return to those illustrious sheets was one step closer. She thought of slumbering in that epitome of comfort pleased her, chilled her in the most satisfying of ways. She could feel the promised warmth creeping over her, as her entire essence of being turned towards her final goal. She smiled at the accomplishment of cleaning up her work desk. Now, she could claim her prize. Each step towards that godly gift was an ascension onto no other. Only the steps remained to be conquered, and she would. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She hadn't taken the trash out. Twilight sighed deeply, feeling the emptiness growing inside her as her prize slipped out of her grasp. She trotted down the stairs and into the kitchen, tying up the plastic garbage bag with force. It groaned in protest as the knot tightened to its extremity. Twilight frowned at the garbage levitating in front of her as she wandered to the front door. A lesson would need to be taught to this bag for being so rude and not taking itself out ultimately, inconveniencing her. She let it down the mailbox with a scowl. That'll show it. She closed the door behind her, sighing in relief. Now, there was nothing standing between her and her bed. The wonderful warmth positively glowed at the top of the stairs. The mutual desire between pony and bed filled the air, each silently calling for each other. She smiled happily as she began her trek towards the stairs again. This time there was no stopping her. There was nothing left to do, nothing that could be completed in the morning. She hadn't fed Owlicious. Twilight cursed under her breath. It was a terrible thing to forget to feed a pet. Yet, she argued to herself that having a little bird was so silent during the day, it was easy to forget his very existence. That was, until he was needed. She shook her head, wandering back into the kitchen. She could feel her eyes drooping as her desire to sleep went further denied. She opened the pantry, looking around for the unopened box of flim-and-flam owl pellets that Spike had bought before leaving for whatever business he had been assigned to. Where was it? She could swear the darn pantry's inventory changed every time she opened the door. The owl pellets weren't in its usual place. They were supposed to be on the second shelf, next to the salt, but not near the pepper. The pepper was supposed to be on the third shelf, so they couldn't be mixed up. On the other side of the pellets was supposed to be your favorite Celestios. Instead, it was a mandarin-flavored jam. Twilight growled under her breath as she began systematically rearranging the pantry in hopes that she would find what she was looking for, so she could ultimately dive under the covers of her freshly cleaned sheets. A familiar hoot sounded behind her, and whirled around quickly to see the owl standing on the bench, beside the box of owl pellets. Twilight gave the bird a deadpan glare as she hurriedly put the bowl in front of the windowsill with her magic, filling it to the brim with food before forcibly placing it back in its original position, taking careful note to place it exactly where she found it, right down to the centimeter. She ignored the bird's gracious hoot as she swiftly moved from the kitchen, banking around the corner and stopping in the middle of her living room, looking around anxiously for anything else that they might have forgotten. There was no time to desire remembering something halfway towards her goal of prizing commodious beauty. Teeth! It was lucky she had taken the time to remember, otherwise this menial task would have been not but another obstacle to overcome and an irrelevant nuisance. Briskly finishing the task, she smiled widely. Now she was ready to claim her prize she had been waiting for so long. It had been too long, too far away. Now it was within her grasp. She could claim it without any further distractions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She was almost there. Her mind happily whirled around that she had not forgotten anything further. 10. She was halfway there. There it was. She could see the wooden framing that held her goal and ultimate desire. Nothing could stop her now. 19, 20. There it sat, shining brightly in a heavenly glow as a chorus of angels sung sweetly to her, beckoning for her to finally claim her prize that she had earned, her accolade of perfection. Her grin widened to a blissful smile as she slowly pulled open the sheet, lay down, and snuggled in her bed. Sighing wistfully at the scent of freshly cleaned linen filled her nose, adding a wonderful sense of euphoria to the feeling of irreplaceable and indescribable comfort, which she knew would only come again once they had been washed once more. She closed her eyes, a low moan emitting from her lips as pure bliss washed over every fiber of her body. She snuggled into the blankets, pulling them closer to her, wrapping herself thoroughly in the illicit warmth that had promised for so long. It was as if she had envisioned. No, it was better. The utter desire she had held for so long made it even more warm, comforting, and accomplishing to have finally claimed her prize. She stopped, her eyes shooting open. I have to pee. The end.